Hello. Today, me and my beard would like to talk to you about the Adventure Island series. Now, the Adventure Island series, I've played almost every game in that series, and kinda the most interesting thing about the series is not really talking about the individual games, although I will do that too. It's more stuff around it, because most of the individual games are not that exciting, actually. But around it, there's some weird stuff to talk about, which I will do. First of all, it spawned from the Wonder Boy series, or the first Wonder Boy game anyway. I don't. It's kind of confusing. I don't really know the full story, and I don't care that much. But basically, it's this company called Escape, which later turned into Westone or West One. They made Wonder Boy for the arcade, and Sega made the version for the Sega Master System. Escape/West One licensed the game to be made on other platforms to Hudson Soft, but since Sega owned Wonder Boy, they couldn't do port Wonder Boy, so they turned it into Adventure Island. Although in Japan they turned it into not just Adventure Island, but Takahashi Meijin no Bokenjima. Bokenjima just means Adventure Island, and then Takahashi Meijin's Adventure Island. And Takahashi Meijin is Takahashi Master, so Master Takahashi, instead of Master Higgins as the Western release called it. And of course, I wonder if they got Higgins from Magnum PI. That's the only Higgins that I'm aware of, but who knows? But Takashi Meijin was a employee at Hudson Soft. He's not a game developer. He's more like a PR guy. When the game came out in 1986, he was already well known for his rapid fire button pressing ability. He could press the fire button in Star Soldier or Star Force, I think Star Force probably, 16 times in 1 hour, which that's kind of what gave him the whole master epithet. He used to do these shooting caravan things where he went out on Japan and did events with the kids and played shooter games and that kind of stuff. He was like a face of the company. He also used to wear this white cap with the Hudson logo on, I think, which is what he then wears in the Adventure Island games. Most of them anyway. And he used to have hair. Because the image I have of Takashi Meijin is that he's bald, which he became, but he used to have hair back in the day, so that's why in all the Adventure Island games he has hair. And one thing that has not been established, it's basically a rumor, but I've heard it from many different places. It seems like one of those, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but probably true, is the fact that in Adventure Island there's a fairy item which makes you invincible, but there's also, they took it from Wonder Boy that there's an item there which slowly drains your energy. In Adventure Island, that is an eggplant. And then it's like, why an eggplant? Apparently it was because Takashi himself didn't like eggplants. I think that part has been debunked, but the point is that the rumor is that Adventure Island, the original game, caused many parents to call in to Hudson Soft complaining that their kids suddenly stopped eating eggplant at dinner or breakfast or whatever. And I find that pretty funny. And it's also a weird thing about eggplants, because they were in Ice Climber, they were in Kid Icarus, where you have the eggplant wizard, who's also like an enemy. So to me it seems like there was a thing with Japanese games and eggplants there for a while, and maybe we can blame Takashi Meijin and Hudson Soft for that one. When I moved to Japan, I met a friend of a Japanese friend, and I guess he was impressed by the fact that I knew who Takashi Meijin was to begin with. And he used to work at Hudson Soft actually, so he gave me this cloth thing, cloth actually, and it's signed by Takashi Meijin. It's from one of the caravans, I guess in 2006. I'm reading this backwards, that's why I looked at the 5 at first. So, and this is shaped, or whatever, you see the 2 buttons there and everything. That's because they made shot clocks. That was the thing after his 16 shots an hour. They made these shot clocks where you could work your own rapid press and have it measure how many you can press in a second. And those were real items. I never bought one because I wouldn't succeed at that anyway. So, but there you go. That's really cool to have. Now for the actual games, I generally don't enjoy them that much, because they have certain quirks. I like 2 games, one of them a lot, but the rest of them are just kind of I don't really like them that much. The first game, Takashi Meiji no Bokenjima, aka Adventure Island, it's a bit of a classic, and that's the one I'd rather play, I suppose, just because of first of all, it has great music, and it just has that kind of classic NES game feel, but it's not enjoyable to play for any extended amount of time. First of all, you die in one hit, unless you have the skateboard where you can lose the skateboard and then die in one hit. But when you have the skateboard, you auto scroll and it's hard to dodge things. Not that it's that hard, because the control is like regularly not that great either. But you have those stones you trip over, you break eggs to get items, like the first you get the stone axe that you can throw at enemies. The main thing about Adventure Island that it annoys me, well, first, one-hit kills. I don't like one-hit kills in my platform games. But you have this life bar at the top of the screen, and it drains down automatically, and you have to collect fruit to get it back up again. That's like your stamina bar. It's like a life bar that keeps going down. You can see it as hunger or meter or something. Maybe Meijin is aggressively diabetic or what, I don't know, but it needs to constantly eat fruit. The problem with the fruit is that they aren't just there like coins in Mario. They sort of appear when you move and sometimes when you run. So it's like when you move the way the game wants you to, they appear. And if you get them, basically the game and the games have an aura of you have to play this the way we want you to play it. And that doesn't jive with me personally, because I want to play the way I want to play. And when the fruits appear, most of the games I seem to recall have basically some kind of internal timer where they kind of disappear if you don't grab them right away. And that again lends to the whole thing that like you have to take these fruits now in like the way we want you to play it. Generally, these games are quite difficult. That's how I feel about it anyway. The first game, which I didn't know how difficult it was because I was like stopped playing on the second world anyway. But when I watched Game Center CX, then I knew how difficult it was. That's why in my old Nintendo Magasinet video where I talked about Swedish Nintendo Power, basically, they had a review of Adventure Island. They put the difficulty score at like 3 as it not very difficult. That must have meant that he did not beat the game. Because in this Japanese Game Center CX show, I don't know, the main guy couldn't beat the game after playing it for 12 hours or 14 hours or however much. So he gave it to his helper, Urakawa, who is really good at video games. He helped beat Ninja Gaiden for one. And it took him 23 hours to beat Adventure Island. Because one, it kills. And in the later worlds, there's barely any fruit. And you have enemies moving up and down. You have to like jump very carefully to get past everyone, everything. When you do find an egg, there's an eggplant in it instead of an axe. Basically, it's just a really, really hard game, and I could not ever see myself trying to beat it. But because of the music, there's kind of a happy vibe to it. Every now and then, I'll just play it for 5 minutes or so, and that's good enough for me. The second game is Adventure Island 2 to most of us, but actually in Japan there was one game that came out the year after the original game, and that's Takashi Meijin Bagute Hani. And for you who don't know Japanese, it's not usually the game's listed as Bugute Hani or Bug Te Hani. Te is the thing that Japanese puts after something that they want to quote, so it's or name. So honey that is named Bug, basically. And this was an anime or cartoon show in Japan for kids that they made after the success of Adventure Island, which has this fairy character. And in the game you play as the fairy, at least for the first stage you do. Fly around, shoot hearts at enemies, but it's not a side-scrolling action game that it looks like. You're supposed to just shoot everywhere and uncover these gems. Looks like gems to me. Apparently they're eggs, but then you touch them and then you play Breakout. And it looks like a kind of a good version of Breakout, honestly, but you have to play it, find 8 gems per stage to play Breakout 8 times. Then when you guide the ball outside the little area there, you get a letter for a password. But it's not a continue type of password. It's basically just you have to have all 8 letters to go to the next stage. From the second stage on, you play as Takashi Meijin as you would normally. So the whole honey bug thing is kind of brief. The passwords are, interestingly, the first one is bug honey, although it's 4 and 4, so it's bug and then honey, but that's kind of weird. But then the second one is Takahashi, C as in she, so Takahashi. And the third one is by Hudson, so that's kind of funny. This game never came west. Again, it looks kind of like a good Breakout on NES type game, but it's how much you're gonna like it depends on how much you enjoy Breakout. But to me, again, I don't know, it's kind of meh. As for the actual second game, it's basically it's kind of more the same because you have the stamina and the one-hit kills and everything, but you also have the animal helpers. I know that Miyamoto wanted to put rideable animals in Super Mario Bros. 3, but he couldn't, so he saved it for Super Mario World. But here in Adventure Island 2 and 3 and 4, there are rideable enemies, although they just basically give you an extra hit and a little bit of an attack, and they just kind of transform the sprite. You can't jump on and off or anything, but they're there. There's also an inventory saving system, kind of like Mario 3, where you pick up an axe during the level and then you put it in an egg in the menu in between the levels, and then you can save it and use it for later, which I enjoy. You can actually save the animals too, which is even better. Some people argue that this makes the games too easy, but I disagree, because I think most Adventure Island games are hard, but that's basically because of the whole mostly one-hit kill thing. I don't have a strong opinion of Adventure Island 2. It's kind of like, it's just Adventure Island. The whole main Adventure Island formula is not for me, so I don't know, it's just kind of there. I'm recording this after my original recording. Just to say something that I didn't say during the actual recording is the fact that I made it sound like the first game is better than 2 and 3. Actually, that's not really true, because the controls is better than in 2 and 3. The momentum thing that they had in the first game, which led to a lot of deaths for me, or I think it leads to a lot of unnecessary deaths, that's gone. So I think the controls is better in 2 and 3. So it's actually, they are easier to play, especially with the animal helpers being there to give you that extra hit. But one thing that they did removed in 2 and 3, which I don't understand and made it actively worse, is the checkpoints. Like the first game had those convenient little signs with the numbers on them, and then you would restart at the checkpoint. 2 and 3 doesn't have that. You just have to restart at the beginning of the stage every time, even after dying in a boss battle, which is annoying. So I still think Adventure Island 2 and 3 are just kind of, I still don't love the formula or whatever, but they did improve the game over the first one, even though that one still feels the more of the classic variety. Same thing goes with Adventure Island 3, which was the next one in the series. It's just kind of more. It has water levels. I think maybe 2 had that too, also. But again, it's Adventure Island. I'm not a big fan. There's Adventure Island 1 and 2 on Game Boy, although they're not. In the West, they're Adventure Island and Adventure Island 2. In Japan, they're Takashi Meiji no Bokenjima 2 and 3. So they're ports of Adventure Island 2 and 3, not 1 and 2, as you might think. And the first one is really slow, which actually might make things a little bit easier. The third one is more of a good Game Boy conversion. But at the end of the day, it's still just Adventure Island. So it doesn't do that much for me, again. Then I think chronologically, Super Adventure Island on Super Nintendo came first, before Adventure Island 3 even. And apparently a lot of people like this game a lot, and I can't see what the fuss is about. Apparently Yuzo Koshiro does the best music in the world, but it's okay to me. Graphics are fine, I guess, but it's more Adventure Island. There's nothing special about it. I just put it in the league with the others, pretty much. And then on the TurboGrafx 16 / PC Engine, there was New Adventure Island. And this one is, it's also another Adventure Island, although I guess I would put it just one notch above some of the others, because it just runs faster. And I don't know, I haven't really played it much, but it looks slightly better. And Higgins in the intro looks really pissed off and like everything burning around him. That's kind of funny. And now for the two games that came, well, not last, but late. And the two games that I actually enjoy. First of all, Super Adventure Island 2. Or in Japan, they did the titles kind of like Ghosts and Goblins, where it's Makaimura for Ghosts and Goblins, and then Dai Makaimura and Cho Makaimura. And with Adventure Island, you have Bokenjima, and this is Dai Bokenjima. So Super Adventure Island 2 is more an adventure game. You have an actual health bar. You can find items. There's a little bit of there's an open world. There's different stages. This is just a slight hint of Metroid-ness to it. I did play through this and I did enjoy it. It's a good game, but it's not as good as the other non-linear Adventure Island game, which is Adventure Island 4, Takashi Meiji no Bokenjima 4. This did not come out in the West, and that's basically, I would say mostly because this was the last Famicom game ever released in 1994, which was too late for the NES in the West also, because the last game released by Nintendo was Wario's Woods in 1993, I think it was 3, maybe it was 94, but this was too late, but it was not too little, because this is my favorite game in the series. It's more fun to play than Super Adventure Island 2. In Super Adventure Island 2 you have this big overworld, and when you travel from place to place you run into enemies, kind of like Zelda 2, but there's no point to it, so it just kind of feels like filler. This doesn't have that. It does have weird minigames where you have to rapid press the button, which luckily for me I have the Hudson Joy card, which has turbo, which is, saved me from most of those. But apparently how well you do is how many hearts you have. You collect fruit in this game to get hearts, not to stay alive, because for that you have you have the hearts like a health bar. There's different areas, like you get to the one with ice, you slip, you have to go kind of like Euphoria, you go back, you find an item, and then a snowboard actually, and you can travel. You have the umbrella, which helps you float, and I think protects you from some projectiles. The animals are there, you can find them and then go pick them up and bring them away. It's really cute how your girlfriend is in the house in the beginning and she waves goodbye to you. She actually only gets kidnapped at the end. Kind of like Super Mario Bros. 3, although everyone, including me, just assumed that Peach was kidnapped from the very start. She actually wasn't. She just gets kidnapped. She just sits in a castle for the whole game. Like, by the end she just gets kidnapped because it's the last act, I guess she has to. So this game I thoroughly enjoyed. But there's two more. There's the PlayStation remake, which Hudson did remakes of, I think it was like Star Soldier, Bonk's Adventure, and Adventure Island on PlayStation 2 and GameCube. This is basically Adventure Island, but in 3D. It looks okay, it plays like any other Adventure Island, which means it's annoying, and when it kills, beside the skateboard, I don't like it. But I like it as much as any other Adventure Island game, pretty much. And finally, there's Adventure Island: The Beginning on WiiWare. And this one I actually haven't even played, so I can't really talk about it, although it does look like your average Adventure Island game, which means... But then again, I'm a little different from everyone else. With Wario Land, I like Virtual Boy Wario Land, and I like Wario Land on the Game Boy. I don't like Wario Land 2 and on, because I don't like having to... I don't like being forced to look for treasure, getting a certain amount of treasure to move on, and I don't like Wario Land 2 how you have to like get hit by enemies and then transform to do things and all that stuff. With Wario Land I want a regular go to the right and beat the stage type platformer, but with more hidden treasures. So that's just me. And with Adventure Island I like the non-linear approach. I don't like the linear one-hit kill fruit to stamina thing. So that's just how it is. Adventure Island, though, it's gone now. I don't think it's coming back. Hudson is still a part of Konami. Konami doesn't like to do that many games, even though they have been improving slightly in the last few years. It's a relic of the past, but it has some merit. There are some good games, like this one, and also this one. Takashi Meijin is still around, although he doesn't work at a game company anymore, I don't think, but he does his Twitter, he has a blog. He's still bald. So, long live Takashi Meijin, and So that's my video on Adventure Island.